Imagine trying to speak without verbs. Nothing would happen. Every sentence in English needs a verb to make sense. Verbs are the heartbeat of language, showing what's happening, what exists, or what someone has. In this video, we'll break down what verbs are, explore their different types, and learn how to use them correctly. Whether you're just starting out or brushing up on grammar, understanding verbs is essential for building strong sentences. Let's dive in and discover the world of verbs together, starting with the basics and moving step by step to more advanced ideas. A verb is a word that tells us what someone does, what something is, or what someone has. It's more than just an action word. Verbs can show action like run or eat, but they can also show a state of being like is or are, or even possession like have or own. For example, in the sentence, she runs every morning, runs is the verb showing action. In he is happy, is the verb showing a state. And in they have a car, have is the verb showing possession. Verbs are everywhere in English, and every sentence needs at least one. Action verbs are the most common type of verbs. They show what someone or something does, either physically or mentally. For example, run, jump, think, study, and dance are all action verbs. In the sentence, she runs every morning, runs is the action verb. In they study English, study is the action verb. These verbs make sentences lively and dynamic, helping us describe activities and thoughts. Whenever you want to talk about what someone is doing or thinking, you'll use an action verb. Linking verbs are different from action verbs. They don't show action. Instead, they connect the subject of a sentence to more information about it. Common linking verbs include am, is, are, was, were, seem, become, and feel. For example, in he is happy, is links the subject he to the description happy. In the soup smells nice, smells links soup to nice. Linking verbs help us describe states or conditions, not actions. They're essential for expressing how someone or something is. Helping verbs, also called auxiliary verbs, work together with main verbs to add meaning. They help show time, possibility, ability, and more. Common helping verbs include am, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, do, does, did, can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must. For example, in she is going to school, is helps the main verb going. In they have finished the work, have helps finished. Helping verbs are important for making questions, negatives, and different tenses. Transitive verbs are verbs that need an object to complete their meaning. They answer the questions what or whom. For example, in he kicked the ball, kicked is the transitive verb and the ball is the object. In she bought a book, bought is the transitive verb and a book is the object. Without the object, the sentence would feel incomplete. Transitive verbs are common in English and help us talk about actions that affect something or someone else. Intransitive verbs do not need an object. The action stands alone and makes sense by itself. For example, in the baby cried, cried is intransitive because there is no object. In they arrived early, arrived is intransitive. Some verbs can be both transitive and intransitive, depending on how they are used. Understanding the difference helps you build clear and correct sentences. Some verbs can be both transitive and intransitive, depending on the sentence. For example, she sings beautifully, intransitive, no object versus, she sings songs, transitive, object is songs. It's important to look at how the verb is used in context to decide if it needs an object or not. This flexibility makes English interesting and sometimes tricky, but with practice, you'll get the hang of it. Regular verbs are easy to spot because they form their past tense by simply adding "ed" to the base form. For example, walk becomes walked, clean becomes cleaned, and play becomes played. This rule makes regular verbs straightforward to use, especially when talking about the past. Just remember to add "ed" and you're good to go. Irregular verbs don't follow the "ed" rule. Their past forms change completely and you have to memorize them. For example, go becomes went, eat becomes ate, take becomes took, and see becomes saw. There's no simple pattern, so practice and repetition are key. Irregular verbs are common in English, so it's important to get familiar with them. Let's quickly recap the types of verbs we've learned. Action verbs show what someone does. Linking verbs connect the subject to more information. Helping verbs support the main verb. Transitive verbs need an object, intransitive verbs do not. Regular verbs add "ed" for past tense, and irregular verbs change forms. Knowing these types helps you use verbs correctly in any sentence. Let's break down a sentence to see how verbs work together. Take the sentence. She has been reading a book since morning. Here, has been are helping verbs. Reading is the main verb and a book is the object, making reading a transitive verb. This shows how different types of verbs can appear together in one sentence, each playing a specific role. Now let's practice identifying verb types. For example, in they are playing football, are is a helping verb and playing is the main verb. In she became tired, became is a linking verb. In the baby laughed, laughed is an intransitive verb. In he broke the glass, broke is a transitive verb. And in I can drive, can is a helping verb and drive is the main verb. Practicing with real sentences helps you recognize verb types quickly. Let's try some fill-in-the-blank exercises. For example, they dinner together every night. Regular verb, the answer is eat or have. Next, she a new phone yesterday. Irregular verb, the answer is bought. And the teacher the test papers. Transitive verb, the answer could be checked or marked. These exercises help reinforce your understanding of verb types and how to use them in context. Now it's your turn. Try making your own sentence using one action verb and one helping verb. For example, she is running or they have finished. This practice helps you get comfortable using different types of verbs together. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel to use verbs correctly in your own sentences. Learners often make mistakes with verb forms, especially with irregular verbs or when choosing between transitive and intransitive verbs. For example, saying he go to school instead of he goes to school, or she laughed the joke instead of she laughed at the joke. Paying attention to verb types and practicing regularly will help you avoid these common errors. To master verbs, make a list of common regular and irregular verbs and practice their forms. Read English books or articles and notice how verbs are used in different sentences. Try writing your own sentences and check if you're using the right verb type. Practice speaking with friends or teachers to get comfortable using verbs in conversation. Verbs are everywhere in conversations, books, movies, and even signs. Every time you describe an action, a feeling, or a state, you're using a verb. For example, I love music. She feels tired. Or they own a shop. The more you pay attention to verbs in daily life, the easier it will be to use them correctly. The core concept of a verb is that it expresses an action, a state, or possession. In grammar, verbs are one of the main parts of speech and are essential for constructing meaningful sentences. Without verbs, it's impossible to communicate what's happening, what exists, or what someone has. Mastering verbs is the foundation of good English. Transitive verbs require an object to complete their meaning, while intransitive verbs do not. This distinction is crucial for building correct sentences. For example, she reads a book, transitive versus she reads, intransitive but often needs more context. Understanding this helps you choose the right verb form and structure your sentences accurately. To sum up, verbs are words that show action, state, or possession. The main types include action, linking, helping, transitive, intransitive, regular, and irregular verbs. Every sentence in English needs a verb, so mastering them is key to good communication. Keep practicing with real sentences. Pay attention to verb forms, and soon you'll use verbs naturally and confidently in your English.